Welcome back to the House of Wolves podcast. I'm your host, Deontay, with my friends, Jalen and Josh, coming at you with some more topics around gaming. We do this every 2 weeks, so definitely stay tuned. I am now uploading these to my YouTube channel, so I want to thank you guys for listening. If you are listening, and if you get to the end, that's even better. Um, I got to kind of start off and give you guys what we're going to be talking about. Again, I always have the like hyperlinks in the comments section for where these topics start, so you can skip around if you want. But we're going to be talking about the Xbox Series X, the setup process because those are now in house. And we are talking about the PlayStation 5 and that setup process, and then comparing both to kind of give you guys an idea of what's the differences and what exceeds at one and what doesn't exceed at the other. So, kind of give you my overview of the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X now that we have those in house. We're going to talk about Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Not necessarily a review, but first impressions. And then we're going to get into our final topic, which would be the $70 price tag now for new games and whether or not it's worth it or not. We have a few, so we want to talk about that and get that fleshed out. But obviously, before we start and get into all that stuff, I wanted to first ask my guys here how you guys are doing. Any updates for the people?
Games, bunch of games, and I wish I had more time to actually play it. But
Uh,
it, so far, it's feeling good about the new generation.
yeah, definitely. Any
Shoot, I'm
updates?
straight.
You
Uh,
sure?
just school, man. Just busy with school, so I ain't really have much time to play the game aside from running a match or two on Overwatch every now and again, or daily, I should say.
Yeah. Um, yeah, same for me. I mean, I ain't really been doing much, but working on the channel, and yeah, I just been putting up videos and playing games. I'm kind of through a little bit, almost through Miles Morales, and I'm enjoying it. And I can say that the I have I guess a fresher experience on the PlayStation, but I've been just been chilling, doing the YouTube stuff, and took some time off to play games, which a lot of people criticize me for, but I enjoyed myself this week. Um, but I guess let's get starting, like just getting to the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X because that's what a lot of people want to hear about. And I've done a lot of videos on my channel about this, but this kind of gives you an overall picture of everything here. One conversation, one podcast, so you kind of understand where I'm coming from, and I can go into a little bit more depth about why I feel certain ways. So, before I start and kind of going on a tangent a little bit, let me talk to Josh about the Series X and I guess how that setup process went for you. And I know you kind of sold your Xbox One previously to getting the Series X, or if I'm not mistaken, I will just clear that up and how that kind of came about and how that looked for you.
Yeah, I sold my One S like 3 days before I actually got the Series X, just
Mm-hmm.
because I had the time to like run over to Best Buy to drop it off. But had already bought the Series X, so I wasn't really worried about finding one. I just wanted to get rid of the S. I didn't transfer my games. That was the main thing because I felt like my internet was fast enough to just download a couple games while I was, busy around the house, and which pretty much it was. Like that day, I just spent downloading stuff, and everything finished by the night. But yeah, I didn't port everything over. But the
Mm-hmm.
good thing is all my saves were there, which you probably talk about later. That all the saves were there. Just download the game and start it, and you're back where you left off, where on the previous console. Whereas the PS5 seems like there are a lot more hoops just to play the same game from the previous console.
Yeah,
Otherwise, yeah, it got set up like 10, 15 minutes was all done, and I haven't had any issues from there just playing the games. They start some games have quick resume, but not all games. I guess we're still waiting for updates to roll out, but so far everything's been smooth.
yeah, definitely. The only game I played where it was like quick resume was Assassin's Creed. At this point, I haven't really tested. I haven't really gotten in, to see it in action. But when it did work, it worked pretty well. Assassin's Creed is just hilarious. So we can talk about that later. But we more so about the setup process, and mine was very similar. I already knew what to do when I was going into it. So really, the most important thing for you guys to kind of understand is your saves, your data for your games, like transferring your games over, and downloading the app for either the Xbox or the PlayStation 5. You need to have those three things intact, and that's really all you need to do. Really, just have your backups for your saves. Downloaded, have your, like, say for instance you have a bunch of cloud storage for your PS5. I recommend you transfer those over via the your hard drive or a thumb drive. I recommend you doing the cloud storage as well. Back them up if you can, but also do that extra backup because we talk later about the PlayStation 5 setup and things like that. There is some things that came about that I you know had me pulling some hair out a little bit because I was nervous. But another thing about the setup process for the Xbox is if you have HDMI 2.1 televisions, or you have those things where you can take advantage of 4K 120 hertz. If you can take advantage of HDR, you can take advantage of Dolby Atmos sound, all that stuff. You need to cut it on, and you need to be able to so you have to understand what your settings are for your television. You have to understand what your how the Xbox works. I do a lot of videos on that, so if you do check out the channel, it's a lot of things on there that you can see that will allow you to kind of set stuff up the proper way so that you can get access to these features, because basically you're buying this console for that, and if you're not actually getting any of these features, what's the point really? So a lot of that setup process comes into play as well. So you don't want to be doing this stuff after. You want to kind of do it beforehand. Obviously, there's not too many HDMI 2.1 things out there for you to test. So you do have to unfortunately wait for the Series X to come into to the house in order for you to actually start testing this stuff. But the thing is, I did that stuff as well. So if you guys check out the channel, you could probably save yourself some time, as well as the entire trying to figure out how the HDMI 2.1 stuff works. If you don't have that, those features, you're totally fine. It should still work as normal. It's just when you do have that, you want to make sure you are in tune with your manufacturer, you're in tune with your settings, and you're in tune with the menus, because again, a lot of this stuff is brand new and it's breaking televisions left and right. So if you want to take advantage of that stuff, just be in tune with your manufacturer. Be in tune with the updates. Make sure you're, staying aware of that stuff, because as of now, HDMI 2.1 is very hectic and problematic for a lot of televisions. But man, once you get it going, 4K 120 on Call of Duty, on Gears 5, it's definitely worth it. You just have to get it to work. And once you do, I guarantee you're not going to want to go play any 60 frames games, and for a while you're gonna be really you're gonna just be engulfed in that 120. So I guarantee you it's worth it if you stick it out and wait for these manufacturers to fix it, or if you are pretty tech savvy, you probably already have it. Now, another game that they were talking about was Warzone. So I mean, basically Call of Duty on the Xbox Series X is well worth it, in my opinion, when it comes to testing out those next gen capabilities. But outside of that, it's anything that you like enjoyed about like that process at all, Josh, that you felt that this was like seamless, um, that really stood out to you before I moved to that PlayStation.
Um, yeah, I think it's just like I said, the saves on their own.
Hmm.
Because there are a lot of games that I've just downloaded and started them, and it does its own sync with the cloud to download your save. You don't ever have to worry about going to
Hmm.
the settings to download it, make sure it's matching, and that way, games that are not necessarily prepped for the new consoles, they don't have to do this weird transfer process. You just put the game in, it downloads, and you're set to go.
Yeah.
Um, I think not having any issues or any extra steps, even in physical discs, like I put in my Halo Reach 360 disc,
Hmm.
and it already had my stuff there with my saves and everything.
Yep. Yeah, I think that's the cool thing about it is that the Xbox is so familiar from previous generation that you don't have to get familiar with it, and a lot of people will take that for granted. It's like it's so robust and similar that now at this point you're just upgrading your your internals. It's kind of think of it like you're doing a CPU and a GPU upgrade on Windows 10. You're very familiar with Windows 10, so you know how to get to places, you know how to get to stuff, you know what makes it make it tick. Just like on the Series X, I kind of know how it ticks. So when it came to seamless transition, all my apps still worked. All my stuff was still signed in. I didn't have to do much, but just really swap out the cables, and that's really that seamless transition that's really where you start to see the benefit of keeping a lot of stuff similar. But you also lose a lot of that wow factor. I will admit that you lose a lot of that wow factor of having something new, but you don't nearly have as many problems as that new wow factor will bring, because again it's trying to bring in a new wow factor, new UI, new interface, new experience. And when new experiences come around, you could speak that to the PS3, to the PS4, to the Xbox 360, to the Xbox One. You kind of come at this minimalistic and bare bones experience versus the Series X being so familiar to the old thing. You already have a true experience day one, and that's what really makes it fast, makes it speedy, makes it simple, makes it it just expresses a lot of the good about keeping stuff that's similar. And that's what I really enjoyed about the process for setting up the Series X. It was a little things that didn't work properly, like my 4K 120, but that was more so on my end of my manufacturer and not actually the Xbox. I'm actually able to do 4K 120. I'm actually able to do HDR10. I'm actually able to get everything I need out of my TV through said system. So, and I think that's a testament to their robustness, because it's a lot of stuff that you have to be compatible with when it comes to these televisions, these sound bars, these surround sound, all this crap. And for it to be able to do that out the gate, and day one I get a fix for my problem, that's really good in my eyes. It's a really good thing. Um, yeah. So on the other hand, I want, because I'm the only one that can talk to the PlayStation 5, because I'm the only one that kind of owns it. I know Jalen Jalen is a little bit in a different space, so if he only time we really want to chime in is kind of giving that perspective of if he have any questions or anything like that. So he's not being quiet because he's not talking. He's just being quiet because he doesn't have that experience, because he's been busy doing other things. But when we're talking about the PlayStation 5, I only can speak to that because, again, I'm the only one that owns one. And when I say the PlayStation 5 is a fun experience, it is a fun and genuinely fun UI experience. You get a lot of the newness. You get a lot of the trying to figure out things, how stuff works. You're trying to get compatible, make stuff work properly, or you're trying to it's just that wow factor of like this new shiny thing. But comparing that and you having two things like very similar to each other and do this kind of very similar things, and one being extremely robust and the other one being this new product, yes, you enjoy the new product for what it is, but after a while you get to see a lot of the faults and it kind of dampers the experience. Obviously, I feel like this is the most robust system that they probably have ever launched. The PlayStation 4 wasn't this robust. The PlayStation 3 wasn't this robust. The Xbox 360 wasn't this robust. The Xbox One wasn't this robust at the day of launch. This thing has applications on it. Doesn't have to wait for a Netflix app or a Hulu like the Nintendo Switch or anything like that. It has those things. It has the UI. A lot of stuff works day one, but it's those things that come into play where you kind of are pushing and testing everything and every limit, where you start to see these bad things happening. So, just to talk about my experience setting up that PlayStation 5. So the first thing that happens when when you start it up is obviously you're going through and you're trying to get everything transferred over. External hard drives works, seamlessly. You don't have to, install anything. You don't have to do anything that changes the UI, or you don't have to do anything really. You just unplug it from your PS4, plug it into your PlayStation 5. You can now run and boot those said games off of that hard drive. That's great. Great news. Obviously, the Series X can do that as well, but it's great news for the PlayStation 5 because I wasn't expecting it to run as good as it does at this point in time. Thought maybe some patches. When you're moving over your saves, that's where it gets a little funny. PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5 have different save systems, and to my knowledge, because when you're saving things and you're trying to move stuff over, there's a problem when it comes to, like, say for instance, the Spider-Man versus Spider-Man remastered. They want you to start all over. There's no reason you should have to do that. People have to announce that, Ghost of Tsushima, you can pick up where you left off, and God of War, you can pick up where you left off. All these games are playing in that standby mode, or that PS4 mode, because of these compatibility issues, which is great that they were able to do this day one. But again, when you bring in saves over and you don't see stuff, it kind of gets you worried. So when I was doing my saves, I did two things, and this is what I recommend all of you guys to do as well. I recommend you to, back up your saves to a thumbstick, and I also recommend you back it up to the cloud storage before you start to, get rid of your PS4 and you move on. Because again, for some reason, when I was moving all of my games over, and this could possibly be something that's just for me, but I highly doubt it. When I was moving my saves over, it did not recognize through the cloud storage. It just didn't. And when I downloaded stuff, it just didn't recognize it. So what I had to do was actually put in the thumbstick, use my backup, and then it finally started to bring in all of my games. Honestly, I only tested 3 games before I started to get worried, and that's when I really just switched it over and pulled all of my games from the thumbstick, and then it started to work fine. But I don't want you guys to be a test of whether or not cloud storage works. So I recommend you doing both, just to be on the safe end, because you don't want a game that you've been putting hours and hours into to lose your save simply because of some error or glitch. There has been reports, which I don't have any of these errors. I have only had errors where if and I kind of want to talk about them separately. So the first error I'm gonna talk to you guys about is the one that I experienced, and this was the error of simply just downloading patches for said games. If I owned a game physically, I would get a notification for each physical disc game I owned, and it would say it could not install a patch because the license wasn't initialized in the console. So what I had to do to get rid of all of these errors, or at least reports of errors, was to go in and manually put in each disc for the game and allow it to patch itself, and then it'll go away. So I had to do that for Neo, Uncharted, God of War, Indivisible, Final Fantasy, and I had to do it for It was one more game, Ghost. So those those games I had to put those in. I don't have many games that are like physical. That it was some games that did it and some that don't. Like Last of Us Part Two. I'm assuming because it doesn't have an update, I didn't have to do it. But it was just weird for that to happen because simply that just made it made it feel like I was doing something wrong, or if I got rid of that disc, I had to just delete the game off of my system because maybe I wanted to buy those games later. Whatever it may be, the case may be of why you still had that save data on there and then why it need to be patched. You couldn't actually patch it until you put the game into the drive, which is very strange because if you got the PlayStation Digital Edition, it shouldn't even ask you to do that. Like, well, how will you even do it if you had the digital edition? So these quirks and these little errors that you get, it seems very strange. I don't get that when I'm playing on my Series X. Another thing that occurred where you get licenses, online licenses. So you get your PlayStation Plus, and you're going through your subscriptions, and you're going through that, and you see that you now under the PlayStation Collection, you have multiple games that you can download that are free now. So I own a physical copy of God of War, and they give me a digital license of that game as well through PlayStation Collection. Instead of just allowing me to play that game via the digital license, I still have to put in the disc. If I want to use the digital license only, I would literally have to delete the entire game, re-download it, and then it will recognize. I tried to restore my licenses, did not work. Basically, I have to delete the game files in order for me to do that. I'm not saying that that's super annoying, but it is because at the same time, what if I don't have? I have data caps. Maybe what is the reason for me to make sure all my saves and my data are on the external hard drive if I really just have to re-download everything again? Now, honestly, that's just a one-off thing with God of War. Maybe if I owned Uncharted or stuff like that as well, it would did the same thing, which it did. But it's just the library of things that you may have out there, right? And to have to do this for every nuanced game that you own seems a little bit ridiculous, especially when you already have the saved data. Say, for instance, you got the digital edition. You already have all of the data you need to play this game, and the license won't work because you used the data from the physical version versus the digital version. And it just doesn't make any sense. So those types of things, like if I was to go on my Series X and I was to download a game I did not buy and then they put it in Game Pass, it would just recognize that I now have the digital license and allow me to play said game. It wouldn't need me to do anything additional. So that robustness, that ability to go into it and just have a good experience is what you're going to get on the Series X. My expectations were very high for the Series X and they delivered. My expectations were very high for the PlayStation 5 and they did not deliver in a lot of ways because of it being a new system. Another thing that they don't do, as of now, with their storage, you can't even do you can't even expand your storage currently. You can't do it through their external the SSD, the NVMe slot, because it's disabled. You can't even move games from Sony's console to an external hard drive because they don't allow it. So you're literally stuck with not 825 gigs, 667 gigabytes until they enable all of that stuff. Say, for instance, you got God of War, Warzone, and two other games. You're pretty much done. You're done for until whatever. If you're a 2K and Warzone player and a Call of Duty Cold War player, and you're just playing Miles Morales and Demon Souls, you're basically done. You're done at that point. Now you can put Warzone on the PlayStation 4 external hard drive and run that because it's technically a backwards compatible game unless they force you. I haven't checked it yet. I hope they don't force you, but Warzone can be put on an external hard drive and be booted from there. But those other games, Cold War, all of those next gen games, 2K21, if you play that, if you play any of those types of games, they have to be on the system in order to be played. And that 667 gigs does not go a long way. On the Series X, I can move my games off of the internal and onto an external, so I don't have to delete and re-download things. So it's the limitations that come into play. It's not that the console itself is bad. You just see the limitations and the kinks that they have to get out in order to make it a great system. Where on the Xbox, again, you just don't see that. It's not the case.
Yeah. It's just operating systems. Like I know people want to see a new Xbox operating system. Like it's the exact same thing as that's on the one.
Mm-hmm.
It's been around that they've been building on it for several years. So now everything theoretically should work because they've been building on it so long. Whereas PS5, like it's a brand new operating system, so they have to start from scratch for a lot of features that
Mm-hmm.
you don't have to start from scratch from the Xbox. I mean, eventually, of course, it's going to get there, but for that first impression, it looks nice, but it doesn't go as deep as it should, especially if you're just coming from the PS4. Like the PS4 has been around for a while. The operating system runs well.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it ran well until they broke it. Um,
Yeah.
but it has all the features that you expect, and moving from one to the other, you start to see that stuff is missing.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what really, you know, causes the issues or makes it where it's where you get to start to see the problems. So PlayStation 5, another thing that I can't knock it for because I think it's my manufacturer, but a lot of people have not been able to get the PlayStation 5 to do 4K 120 in anything. And with the CX OLEDs, with my Vizio OLED, with any other television that supports it, it just has not worked. And the Xbox does work, so it's just a testament to some of those things where you see it and it's like there's a problem here, but we don't know how to solve it at this point. So we have to wait for patches, we have to wait for fixes. Um, and I was surprised that the Xbox still was able to work same day. Honestly, I thought it was not going to be something that I could do for a while, but same day I was able to find a fix to do 4K 120. Granted, without variable refresh rate, but it is a way for me to get that done, and it's amazing. Um, there's also things which are very strange as well when it comes to backwards compatibility on that system. So there's this thing called other on your storage. So outside of your just regular storage for your games, there's this other little slot, and which is called other. Mine's is sitting at about 54 gigabytes right now. Basically, if you put any backwards compatible games on your internal storage, in order for those games to run properly, they have to take up even more space than what was allocated by the game itself. So when I had Borderlands 3, Bloodborne, Days Gone, and I think Apex Legends, I had 4 games on my console that were, and it took up an additional 94 gigabytes. They said the average is around 18 to 19 gigs of how much other space should really be. Mine shot up to 94 gigabytes. That is a lot of more. That's a lot of space for backwards compatibility when Xbox doesn't do any of that, and it has more space. So if we're fighting a space game, you're now fighting the game the the games that's needed to be on the internals. You're also fighting the the other storage, and then when you try to put backwards compatible games, say for instance you don't have an external hard drive, that's another thing that's just on top of everything else, where you're just losing space constantly, and you only have 660. I have to reiterate that. I mean, obviously the Xbox is only 802, so it's not like it's blowing it out the park, but it's at least better in a lot of different spaces where you can make up that storage space. PlayStation just does not have that at this point. So yes, it's shiny. Yes, it's new. The DualSense, I think, in my opinion, is definitely a decent game changer. It's not the revolution that everybody is stating, but it is a decent game changer where you can start to feel and understand like the nuances of a control system and how like footsteps can feel in the hands and how you can like put tension on the triggers. Those things are good. The mic just being on the controller is decent. You could just do voice controls throughout this entire system. You don't need to plug anything in. You just really unmute your mic on the controller and you're good to go. Those things are very impressive, and they're just, quality of life things. The SSD being super fast and allowing you to get from, load screen or to the home screen to in game in less than 30 seconds. That's amazing. These things that you're doing on this console now is great. But don't but the Series X is it's not like it ain't no slouch. It's doing the same things and it's doing it in some cases better. When you're doing backwards compatibility and you're starting up games, the Xbox in general, I have a hard drive for both my Xbox and my PlayStation. My Xbox loads games faster. That's just off rip. It just does. I don't know what it's doing on the CPU side of how it's caching things, but it just loads stuff faster. I know that they were supposed to be putting out a patch, but I haven't seen that experience. I did the same game, Apex Legend, on both, and it did not load faster on my. I did not boost up and load faster. It was the same thing. Obviously, that's an online game, but I'm talking about just loading into the training area. I was just doing things to try to test out how it works. So, yeah, I mean, the PlayStation 5, I won't deny that it is a fun experience and it's a new experience and it's better than what I'm experiencing on other things. But at the same token and on that same hand, the Xbox Series X is just doing it better, faster, and it's simpler at this point in time. And I feel bad for anybody that has to just use the PlayStation 5 at this point, because if you are an avid gamer and a true avid gamer like myself, you probably are already through most of your storage, and you now have to determine whether or not what games you should keep on it and what games you should remove, and that should not be the case a week in, and that's what's the disappointing part about it is. But yeah, I enjoy the PlayStation. I just think that the Xbox did it better. The day one. That's just it. Day one. I can see a future where the PlayStation 5 takes over because of the amount of games that it has and that the experiences that you can get. But right now, if Microsoft continues to go down this path of reiterations of the same thing, they're only going to get better and better, while Sony has to repeat itself every console generation, where the Xbox is going to continue to build upon the basis of what they already have. And that's going to be hard, really hard to do for the PlayStation moving forward. This has just started. We'll see how it turns out. But Xbox has set themselves up for success at this point, in my eyes.
And what you think, Jalen? You been hearing anybody talk about their experiences with the systems?
Nah, I ain't heard nobody say nothing about it. Only people I've been hearing about is it's just you and Deontay as far as like the Xbox and PlayStation 5 stuff. Yeah, I don't know much about it. I don't think the space thing on the PlayStation 5 is like adequate. I don't know how much space it got, but I mean, it ain't enough. I mean, I got a terabyte PS4, and I guess that's enough essentially for what I need it for. But I mean, I just don't like going through games, deleting them, or a game want to update and I need to make space. I'm missing 10 gigabytes because they want to delete or essentially it wants to, when you update the game, it wants to make a copy of the entire game plus the update or whatever, and then download it. Or it don't really download it, but
It's just like
it just
a
wants a copy there
recopy.
so it don't have to, so it don't have to like lose anything per se, I guess, and then it gets rid of the copy or the older version or something like that. That's how somebody explained it to me. I think like on YouTube, but like I think I might have read it online, but or Deontay might have told me. I don't know, but yeah, I mean that part of it. I mean, if the PS5 could do away with that, I feel like that would help with the space and stuff. But I mean, space wise, I'm not like inclined to get it. I mean, the Xbox, y'all got it, but I mean, I'm not inclined to get it because I don't. There's not any games that I want to play on there. The PS5 don't really have any games that I really want to play on there. So
I think the PS5 will probably scratch that itch before any other consoles, to be honest. Or at least the Xbox Series X for you. If you were to buy one, you would probably end up, because the PlayStation 5 definitely has, they're going to have the lineup, and I don't know what games that you will be interested in, but if you usually are into the Japanese games, you know that this PlayStation is probably going to be the one. But it's just that experience once you get it, and if you do start to, either get back into gaming more, or if you continue down that same path, it may be just right, because it's enough for you to have at least 6 or 7 games. But if you play through the generation like you played through the PS4, no, not at all.
yeah, I don't even know how the backwards compatibility work on the PS4, so I literally don't know anything about it. I said I was probably just gonna get it into when they drop another version of it, maybe or something, or
Like
do something.
the
I
slim.
feel like yeah, I mean, maybe it depends on when it come out and stuff, and when I get time. It really depend on when that unemployment comes, if it ever comes. But yeah, I mean that's the biggest thing, man. I don't really know. I ain't got much of an opinion on it. Like I said, it ain't no games that I want to play on there. So I don't really, at this point in time for me, with everything I got going on with school, it ain't really.
Precedent, I get you, because and it's really talking about the value proposition, really, because I get where most people. I mean, well, obviously, in your case, it's more so that your time. If you don't have time to play it, then what's the point of me buying it? But it's also that value proposition for it too. It's kind of bringing that into play, because the value proposition of it is right now, it's not that great of an experience, nor is it worth upgrading at this point. The Series X, it's kind of in that same space with the Xbox One X, but again, because of how robust it is, and you tend to upgrade your PCs often, not often, but at least every 4 to 5 years you're going to do so. This is what it feels like. It feels like you're upgrading to a better system, or a better GPU and CPU, versus restarting from scratch. That's the difference. That's why the value proposition is there for me when it comes to the Series X. The value proposition right now is that PlayStation 5 is simply, we got, Bug Snack, we got Demon Souls, and we got Miles Morales will look better. But, Demon Souls is really the only game on there that's exclusive to said console. And that's not enough of a reason to buy it now, because you could play Horizon, you could play Miles Morales, it still looks great on the PlayStation 4 Pro or the PlayStation 4. So that's really where the value proposition, that's what we kind of want to speak to, because yeah, I understand the time and actually wanting to play it, but I think that value too needs to be there. And as of now, I don't feel like it's there. So
$500, a lot of money to be playing the same PS4 games that I've been playing for them to look better. And I ain't got the best TV. I ain't got none of that. I'm just, what I'm saying? So I don't even 4K, 10K, 30K. My TV do fake 4K, so, or fake HDR, whatever that junk called. I don't even know what it stands for.
Yeah,
I
man.
know most people gonna want to like.
Get the
I don't know
newest
why people be
game.
talking about the PS5 and stuff like that, but they be like PS5. I'm like the first games y'all finna get is 2K and Call of Duty, and then that's all y'all gonna play. So it don't really matter.
Maybe that's why they did it at 667 gigs. They said just enough. Give them just enough. And maybe that's why they did it. I don't know, but it definitely has reasons to. I mean, if you're an enthusiast, obviously, like the 3D pulse headset stuff, and like I'm really enjoying the soundscapes of that and playing Demon Souls with that stuff on. I can hear where these dudes are creeping, coming around corners and stuff like that. It sounds really good. Like they made new stuff happen, and that's what's good about it, and it works. Like the dual sense feels good, the soundscape feels good. You don't have to buy the 3D pulse headset to use this. You can just have 3D sound on your regular headphones. So they're building on the technology, and they're making the proposition there, and you can see where it's gonna go. But today, in today's time, right now, people don't really care, and there's like a lot of other options to still get those experiences. No, you don't need a PlayStation 5. The Series X, in my opinion, still has the better value proposition due to Game Pass, due to the robustness of the system, and that feel of not leaving anything behind, and you always just feeling like everything just works. That's why I feel like the value proposition is there a little bit more than the PlayStation at this point. At this time, I will not say that for the remaining of the thing, because no, I guarantee you the PlayStation is going to have the better games, the better experiences. But right now, those experiences aren't enough for that. Um, but yeah, I guess how do you feel about the PlayStation 5, Josh? I think we talked about it before, but just to get a reminder.
Yeah, I think that overall, like you said, the PlayStation is going to have the stronger titles. And just like with Jalen, I play a lot of Japanese games. So when Final Fantasy 16 comes out, it's going to launch or whatever on the PS5 exclusive. So that would be a reason to want to play it because, I'd rather not wait a year for a port. Um, but right now, there's nothing that really attracts me. Like, Bugsnax and Astroom, like those are fun, but those are not $500 decision makers. I'm not gonna care about those. Those are nice extras.
Yeah.
So it's really just Miles Morales and Demon Souls. I've played a lot of Demon Souls, so I don't really see the value there as that being the only game for me to play. And Miles Morales looks good, but from what I played as Spider-Man, it's just not my type of like
Game.
game. I'm not really into open world Spider-Man games. Like it's fun. I'll play for the story,
Hmm.
but I'm not gonna do all the extra stuff and do the races and help all the NPCs because I don't really care about that stuff in that game.
Right.
Um, so at this point, honestly, it's only third-party titles that are just gonna get me to buy a system, and that's the reason I got the Xbox because it just seemed like a better ecosystem to buy these third party games. Just put Assassin's Creed in there. It runs well, quick resume and stuff like that. The PS5 is going to run it well too, but it doesn't have those features that will make those third party games feel next gen. Because Sony, they're always really good with their first party games. They use features that people don't
Mm-hmm.
use or they use them better. So,
Right.
like you said, the haptic feedback in the controller, I imagine is really really good for Miles Morales. Whereas
Mm-hmm.
Assassin's Creed, it probably doesn't matter in that type of game.
Nope.
So yeah, at that point it's useless. Um, so yeah, I just got it for the third party experience plus the Game Pass. It just gives me literally a couple hundred games to download and play. Some
Mm-hmm.
of them are old. Well, all of them are older games. That's the main thing. So if you play all of them, then of course don't worry about it. But a lot of these games I didn't play, or they just run so much better that it's a new experience.
Yeah.
And we might speak about the price later. Like, yeah, the Xbox, they're both 500, but another thing is that price of the games. And everybody's moving towards 70, but that makes that Game Pass $15 a month more attractive.
Yeah.
Because it just gives you so many options. You don't have to spend 60, $70. So
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we can go into that topic because again, we wanted to talk about the $70 upgrade and the value proposition of that and how I don't know. I mean, how we were able to keep it at $60 last generation, from the 360 to the Xbox One, and um, at this point, I feel like that was a bigger leap in technology. I feel like we just got SSDs and we got ray tracing. I don't know how big of a leap the difference is. I feel like yeah, we got that stuff and it's great now, but play PC always had that, and they not paying more, you know. So I feel like we just got a high end PC, right? And people been buying high end PCs for a while. So why are we now being charged $70 for something that they had and they didn't get a price hike? Um, so I just wanted to see what was the or at least let's kind of have a conversation around that $70 price tag now and what's going on there.
yeah, I mean, with the conversation, it is going to end up being like people want to own their games, which is its own discussion. But a lot of games, honestly, I play them, but I'm not really too worried about if I own the game or not, such as like
Hmm.
Watch Dogs. Like it's a fun game. I enjoy it. Maybe I want to play it in 5 years again once I beat it, but it's not really a big deal if I own it or not. Now,
Hmm.
other games I might have a stronger connection to or something because I like that game a lot, but
Right.
not every game that I play is going to be like I need the disc. So, um, I don't know. I think like there are games that will be worth it. So like God of War comes out, I'm sure they're gonna put so much effort into it that it justifies the price.
Hmm.
But most of these games are not going to, because one, they're gonna charge you the $70 like Call of Duty, and then they're gonna throw a season pass at you, and then or a battle pass at you, and all these $25 character skins and stuff like that. So you're not getting your money's worth. You're spending extra $10, but it's really just an extra tax, and you're still going to be paying all these higher prices. So I'm personally going to be looking for more ways to save. So looking out for more Amazon sales. This game is $50, or this game $60 instead of 70. Or Best Buy got rid of their thing, but if another company has a like a membership that discounts games, those that makes it much more attractive because games are getting too expensive to kind of justify it in some sense. Um, and that also makes the Game Pass nice. So the more games that they add to Game Pass, that saves me more money in the long term. But again, I also know that I'm a person that spends a lot on games. Like some people buy 1, 2 games a year, like Jalen said, just buy 2K or something. Um, but if you play more than 3 games a year,
Hmm.
then the Game Pass saves you money. So
No,
it's really
it
just
definitely does.
yeah, it's really just what you're looking for. Of course, I'm going to spend $70 on a God of War type game, but I don't. I'm not looking forward to it, obviously. But I'm going to be expecting more from these games, and I don't know if they're necessarily going to deliver it.
Yeah, that's how I feel about it. The value of it. I feel like you're upping the baseline for all of the trash games, even though they're still gonna be trash. Um,
Like, what was that game? Godfall, $70.
yeah,
Tra-
bro, trash,
That
trash.
game garbage.
Yeah, that game garbage. It's a
Man, I thought that game might be kind of tight.
nah. It's not trash, trash. It's just not worth
Nah, it's too
seventy
late. You already
dollars.
said it.
It's not worth $70.
I
It's
mean, you
not like
play Warframe.
terrible.
It's just Warframe with better graphics.
It's exactly what it is. But
Hey,
and I feel like Warframe does a lot more stuff better, and like storytelling, like the whole aspect of differentiating the gameplay. at least from how Josh tell it, because I ain't played it myself, but how Josh say it, it definitely has a lot more to offer. But games like Just Cause 5 being $70, games like it's those types of games where I feel like no, why do we have to now pay more money for these one-off experiences that we may not enjoy? So now I feel like I have to be extremely selective with the games I buy. Obviously, I was a little bit more, okay with the purchases now because I wanted to experience like Demon Souls and games like that's literally the only. Oh well, Demon Souls and 2K, but I didn't pay for that because it was buy two get one free. But Demon Souls, Call of Duty, and NBA 2K21 are the only three games that I currently have that would charge me the $70 price tag. And I don't feel like at this point in time, I really enjoy the 4K 120. And I really enjoy NBA 2K21's graphics, and Demon Souls experience is always fun. But none of them deserve $70. I think they all should have stayed at their same price point. I don't think the additional graphical fidelity that they already had unlocked and hasn't even beat the high end PCs yet, it should not be more. I think once Nintendo comes out with their 4K version, they're going to up the ante on all their basic Betty games. And obviously, Zelda was worth $70. I would think so now, even if it was in that graphical capabilities of previously. But all that other stuff, like, no, I don't feel like Ring Fit Adventure should be $70. No, I don't think Pokemon should be $70. No, I don't think, like, none of those games, I don't feel like they should be $70. So I feel like that's where we're going to get to. And even previously, I could see the graphical, like I said, the Xbox One to 360. That made more sense to me because of all of the differences and the changes. And that would have made more sense to up the price a little bit then, but they didn't. So why do it now? It makes zero sense. So I'm just confused about a lot of these companies. I think Xbox has been trying to keep everything the same, and they have been trying to, not, go out that route because their games are still 60. But these companies jumping on bandwagons, obviously Ubisoft later on down the line, they're going to up their ante. I know PlayStation is definitely going to do theirs. I think it's just unfortunate. I do think a lot of these games are, great games like Ghost of Tsushima. If I think they earn the additional $10. I think God of War earned the additional $10, and I think that's why PlayStation is pushing for this, because I think a lot of their games earn that money, but there's some duds. Days Gone don't deserve $70. It's just those types of things, experiences where I think they should tailor the price to the quality of the game. And if you're going to pay me, make me pay more. I'm expecting better, and I don't think we're going to get better, to be honest. I think we're going to get a lot of the same run of the muck crap that we get now.
I think a lot of it probably just going to be, to be honest with you, just inflation. I will say I feel like I'm not on the side of like the $70 and stuff like that, but I will say I did appreciate games being $60 for
such a long time, like 14 years almost.
My bad.
It's cutting out.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
No, I was just saying I do appreciate the fact that game, because I feel like PlayStation 1 games was like $40 or somewhere around there, like 30 or 40, and then PS2 games jumped up to 50 and 360. PS3 jumped up to like 60. So the fact that the game stayed $60 for 2 generations was nice.
Yeah.
You got like cost of living, like inflation and all that type of stuff. So I understand why it's going up, but at the same time, I feel like the game market became a lot more saturated with a lot of BS and stuff like that. So now you can get those games that slip through the crack, and they're gonna try to put that $70 price tag on it, and it's not really worth it. So, um,
Yeah.
I mean, I guess that is the downside of it. And then I feel like, I mean, like you said, like y'all was telling me the other day, they got people making Assassin's Creed or Watch Dogs and stuff like that, and they not actually like coders or whatever in the game, just glitching, and you got stuff just going haywire in the game.
Hmm.
Like, I mean, if you're gonna be putting that much effort into the game or whatever, because $70 still a lot of money. I mean, back then, and it's still a lot of money now. So,
Yeah.
but if it's gonna be like subpar effort or y'all cutting corners and stuff like that, then I mean, I don't really.
I think
I
it's
ain't trying to
gonna.
pay 70. I ain't been trying to pay 60 for a game from jump. So
I think it's gonna hurt the market a lot because it was cheaper than what we were getting. Now it feels like it's kind of the same. Where now we got to be more selective of what we buy. I would be more selective of what I want to purchase now. I'm going to not just buy things open heartedly because I want to try it. I'm gonna have to wait for reviews. I'm gonna have to make sure I'm really interested in this game. I'm not gonna be trying as much, and I think they're gonna tailor in a way for that Game Pass system to really flourish, and that's problematic in a lot of different ways. Just because, yes, it's a good experience now, but price hikes, um, getting games coming in and out of that, the it's just gonna make it where sometimes we may start depending on that because it becomes too expensive, um, and I don't know if we're gonna see an adjustment down or what, because that it never goes down; it always just goes up. So it just seems like I don't know. It seems like a lose lose situation. I think these systems are great, and I think they're very definitely powerful systems. I just don't see a lot of these games being worth that money, especially when you tailor in the DLC, you tailor in all of the additional things. The price of game, the price to make games, yes, it is going up, but that's why we have so many gimmicky things in place. If this $70, which I doubt, starts to tailor in more, first party experiences, I can see single player games being like more expensive than just regular non single player games. I think there has to be some type of difference there. Um, I don't want every game across the board to just have that MSRP because it don't deserve it. And I think tailoring it to the, I don't think I don't know. I just don't think so. I don't think those movies that go straight to DVD and the movies that go to the theater deserve the same price, and they price it accordingly, I guess. So I can own this trash movie versus just going to see this good movie. That's the difference, and I think they should start tailoring it kind of that way too, because these games don't deserve it, to be honest. But you know,
Yeah, I hope we just see more $40 games.
yeah,
Because I feel like that's a better spot to be in than trying to overprice yourself. Just because, like, of course, the game development has got more expensive, but when your entire experience compared to your other, competitors isn't offering the same thing, then the value of it is not going to be there. So yeah, Spider-Man is going to offer really good graphics and a story, and that's interesting and things like that. Whereas if you're like Godfall and you're only going for like a single player loot game, or no PvP focused loot game or anything like that, it might not be a equal experience to people. But I think really it's just going to end up on the market trying to decide it. And if
yeah,
those games just don't sell like that, then they're gonna have to find a different way to sell them.
yeah. Because if you spend all this money on trying to feel the experience out, right, and then nobody buys it because they don't feel like it's worthy of your money, doesn't that do a disservice to the company and like the business? Because like Avengers, The game was oversold, and they didn't fill out the game, so it wasn't worth 60. They basically just made the graphical things work right, and they kind of tried to oversell you with the DLC and things like that. People chose with their wallet. They lost a substantial amount of money from that game, and it would have been a better situation for them if they were able to price it accordingly versus what they were trying to do, and they were trying to pretend like it was a full-fledged game and pretend like it was polished and well polished and ready to go when it wasn't. So I think those types of situations warrant different price points, because I guarantee you this $60 Cyberpunk is going to be better than anything that comes out that's $70 for a very long time. And this game is going to have ray tracing. It's going to have those additional features. It's going to have those next gen things that they're charging $70 for now. So this company is able to do it at this price point, while these other companies can't. They're not trying to push DLC on you. They're not trying to do all these extra things to make, And I think really these money, I think it's just, I honestly don't feel like it's inflation. I feel like it's just some kind of greedy type of move where they feel like people are just accustomed to, going with the flow. PC gamers don't have to deal with that. I'm not sure, but if I look up Godfall on Steam right now, I'm pretty sure, I'm about to look it up now. I'm pretty sure it ain't the price that they charging you for it on PlayStation. And if it is, that's goofy.
But yeah, like
Is
it,
Godfall even on the store yet on Steam?
it might be on the Epic Game Store
Ugh,
because they're not gonna launch at $70 on Steam.
you right.
It's $60 on Epic.
And I'm pretty sure it runs better on the Epic. Whatever. Just stuff like that kind of annoys me. Why are we getting a premium for this versus others? And it makes no sense. But yeah, I understand making, how do we make sure we are supporting the developers. I don't think like this is a developer support, move. Honestly, I think development support moves would be like Game Pass, where you get a certain amount of money regardless of whether or not you sell well or not. Like those type of subscription based services where you start to see where even if you don't sell properly, like you get this leverage in your game because you simply have access to millions and millions of people. I see those kind of moves being beneficial to the developer. I don't see this as a beneficial move to the developer. It makes it more pressure. It makes it where it's more people are restricting on what games they buy. It makes them more gullible to just price it lower to try to get people to come in and buy their game. So I don't know how much of a good service this is. They're raising the baseline for a lot of these games where the quality isn't meeting up how much they cost. And there's plenty of games out there right now that's $60 that are just not worth it, and we know this, and we avoid it. We avoid the kiddie Disney games. We avoid these games that don't, like, the publishing just are looking for a cash grab for people that's unaware. And I feel like you upping that baseline makes it even difficult for people to say yes to this, because now they have to really think about $70 now. This is like a lot more. I'm only can buy 2 games. I'm already at 100, and it's $140. So it's just like I don't know. It doesn't feel like it's a really good developer move in my opinion. Nor do I feel like the games are worth it. I think DLC and season passes have been working substantially well for these people and these companies, and that's why they keep doing it, and that's why they keep trying to get stronger and stronger in that field, because they know that that's where the money really is. So this $70 just feels as if, I don't know, it just seems like greed. They feel like maybe people not buying season passes enough. I don't know.
The only situations that I would see it's okay. It's games like if you look at Call of Duty, obviously they're gonna come out a new one every year, and they're gonna always charge $70 because they're never gonna like it's a big brand and they feel like it's worth $70.
Right.
Um, but if those type of games are able to commit to something that is a benefit to players that justifies that $70 and it's worth it, like they've tried it, in the past. All of our maps and stuff are going to be free and stuff like that.
Hmm.
Where you're promising a service that's worth the $70, then that makes it uh, more more okay to for people to accept. But I feel
Hmm.
like just switching over to $70 up front and saying you're going to get the same experience that you got last year but $10 more, it's not really worth it. Like 2K, I feel like especially in this transition time, they should be trying harder to get people to buy their game instead of just upping the price.
Exactly. Yeah, I think that's the key point. Takeaway is kind of like the games that really started it off don't deserve the money anyway. Um, I think I think Demon Souls did a lot of creativity and they did a lot of stuff to remake it, but it's a remake. It doesn't deserve $70. In my
Yeah,
eyes, I feel like yes, it's a
Colossus
single
was
player experience. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
the last game was 40, Shadow of the Colossus, and they
Yes,
did the same thing.
exactly.
And
So
even Miles Morales, I know there's a $70 version, but that game is not $70. Like Sony themselves didn't charge $70.
exactly. So I'm not sure why $70 was the price tag for Demon Souls. Um, even though I do feel like they did a lot. This is a big experience to upgrade and bring to the new generation. But it's still like you're working off the framework of everything else. So it's not like you did much to recreate. You did a lot of artwork. You did a lot of art design, which is great. I think the only reason I can justify that is because simply they don't have a way of monetizing it additionally. And if they're going to price hike games that they can't monetize additionally, it'd probably be that one. But Spider Man was the same way. It's a single player game. They did a lot of work on it. They made it up. They tried to remaster it. They did a lot of stuff with the face work. They went back and did things, and it's $50. Obviously, that game is 8 hours, but Demon Souls isn't that much longer. At least if you play it right. And I feel like those games. I don't know. I just feel like it's a steep price, but um, I guess that's what people want to pay now. I just don't feel comfortable paying that much right now, and I don't think I'm ever will be until because I mean I don't want games for free, and I respect developers that take the time and do something good, and from all accounts, it seems as if Demon Souls was something that they did good. So I don't want to say that they don't deserve anything. Um, I just feel like that baseline is really starting to it's gonna get worse before it gets better. But before we continue on that, we got to switch over because we're almost out of time. I want to just talk about Assassin's Creed. Um, Not much to talk about there because I haven't played much of it, but uh, I have run into some glitches on that game already, and it's Glitch City, pretty much. Talk to me about your experience, Josh.
You beat it,
Nah, I ain't beat that game yet.
man. I ain't got the game, bro. I just want to know why y'all even bought that game, bro.
Why we buy it? I told
Yeah,
you why.
No, I convinced Deontay not to download it digitally, which he was about to pull the
Yeah.
trigger on.
impulse.
No, I didn't want to go to the store and pick it up. I was about to just buy it because I had a little coupon. I was like, all right, just buy it. But then I just, I was able to figure it out and get it done without having to buy it because now I can take it back. But
Y'all
I
love
ain't gonna
y'all
take it
Assassin's
back once
Creed,
I
man.
beat it, man. Once I beat it, but yeah, talk to. I know you was talking about Unity launching with a new title and them.
I try to learn y'all lesson from Unity. Y'all still be buying that garbage. I'm like, now y'all talking about ships flying. I thought ships supposed to be on water. Come on now.
No, Josh said there's that bull or that ram or whatever knocking that dude into that rock. That man flew almost. He flew to the sky, bro. Like he hit the skybox top and fell back down.
I don't know how y'all got the patience for that game, bro. I can't knowingly spend $70 knowing I'm finna get some
No,
bull.
no, no, no. That's 60. And I told you I got
60. I
good
bought Unity
coupon.
and I begged somebody to buy it
Got it
off of me.
for 50.
Right. Yeah, we got it for 50 actually because it was on sale. I ain't
Y'all
get
paid too much for it. That's still too much.
Oh my goodness.
You
Man,
bought Unity for what? 69 cents or like $9 or something like that.
it was like five something, $5.
That's too much.
Man,
I
Unity a good
digress.
game now, at least from Digital
Nah.
Foundry. They said it run at 60 frames, man. It's good now. Yeah, it took a generation, but it got there.
So, so what's your experience with the game been like, Deontay?
I haven't had I only had one glitch, and that was when I did the quick resume, and they was in the T stance, and they was trying to act out a scene, and they were hugging each other, but they were just bumping chests, and I was just like, man, what is going on? And then it crashed on me. So that was the only experience I had with a bug. Everything else has been fine. I only played like 5 hours though, so I haven't played that long either. So I can't really say if it was been like terrible. Like how often do you run into a bug in that game?
Um, so from the beginning, I was telling you, like from the last two Assassin's Creed games, like this one is way more buggy, like
Mm-hmm.
than I would usually expect. I haven't had any like the thing I showed you that was on Reddit. That hasn't happened to me. That's like ruined your experience. But like you can see, like I remember I was riding my horse next to a river and two boats were going and they crashed into each other, but they just like formed like the X and then just started to spin around in the water. And it just looked dumb. It was like this supposed to be like the graphics look good, it's sunny, the water looks good, like you're trying to show off your, new environment. And in Odyssey, like it worked, it looked good, but this you can't really get immersed into it because you got the world is falling apart in some places. Otherwise, like, the game plays fine. Like I haven't had any like combat glitches or
Mm-hmm.
people invincible and weird stuff like that. It's just the art or like you want the world to look good, but the glitches ruin it in some
Yeah,
places.
because you said you had like when you were trying to just get a chest to open, and like the NPC or the AI wouldn't come in and help you, so you had to leave
Yeah.
the area and come back.
Yeah, because that like you have to have two people open a chest, and like when you got your party of 10 with you,
Mm-hmm.
they two people won't walk through the door at the same time. So their AI is trying to figure out who's going, and I'm like, are y'all gonna help me?
Yeah, man. That game is those glitches are hilarious. I still enjoy it. It's 4K 60, me, and I ain't had no experience with, not even
Yeah,
on my PC. I
and
mean,
I
I
think that makes
yeah,
it more noticeable because the game runs better. Like it looks good. It runs at 60.
mm-hmm,
Even like Watch Dogs doesn't run at 60 in
mm-hmm,
any mode. And but this game, like it looks really good and it runs well, so it just makes those glitches more noticeable.
exactly. Yeah, man. Definitely Assassin's Creed esque, Unity. I remember when Black Flag came out. Black Flag was much better. It was like the port of the 360 game to the Xbox One. I played that one way more than I played Unity. Unity was some garbage, but Black Flag at least definitely they did a good job with that one.
I think Unity was the first what for the next gen.
Yeah,
Yeah, first
Yeah,
PS4.
I bought that mug, man. At midnight, that review embargo, that
Hmm.
boy hair was floating and my frames are dropping down to like 2015. I was like, man, somebody please get this game off me, man, because I didn't play this game for approximately 30 minutes and I can't take it no more. So I'm surprised y'all bought these next Assassin's Creeds for the next gen. And
Well, I mean, I skipped three
yeah,
games. I didn't play 4. I didn't play Unity. I didn't play the Syndicate.
yep,
Like I just played these ones because they at least seemed like they were putting more time into them. And
yeah,
I can say with Origins and Odyssey, it felt like they put more time in it. It was less glitches.
yeah,
Whereas this one, like the graphics look better, but they didn't put as much time in it as they should.
And it might be the pandemic. It might be stuff like that. We don't know, but I know that
Uh,
at least the other two games that I played, I didn't run into anything like that. Period.
you said it's the pandemic.
It might have been. They could have been working on those games. It's like they launched the Xbox One Series X, the PS5, PS4, PS4 Pro. They launched it on the PC. I think Stadia too. So there's a lot of stuff they got to test. Obviously, the gaming's not going to be perfect, but I didn't expect it to be like Glitch City. I don't run into
Glitchy Metropolis.
like I said, I only run into one bug over 5 hours of gameplay. That's okay. That's decent. I just don't want it to be where every 30 minutes I see another glitch. That's the difference. I think people are they are compiling a list of things that they've seen. Maybe it doesn't happen so often, but when the people were reviewing it, they still talked about the glitches, but they said they weren't as game breaking, or they didn't take them out the experience as much. So I'm assuming it didn't happen over their playtime a lot, but it still happened. And versus Odyssey, you didn't see it, so that's the
Yeah,
difference, and that's like the
and I think
polish there.
for me the main thing was the polish because I play a lot of Odyssey, and like I
Hmm.
said, that's one of my favorite Assassin's Creed games. But coming to this one straight from that, like you notice the combat and the combat animations are not as good, or like it's more repetitive.
Hmm.
Plus the glitches on top of it. Plus, like I don't know if you got your boat yet, but like I was telling you, like the stuff that should be cool or fun, it
Right.
is weird. Like they didn't take the time to polish it to make it look good. Whereas
Even
like
yeah.
even Miles Morales, like I haven't played it, but if you walk into the corner store and buy something, I'm sure they got a big elaborate animation for it. Everything looks smooth and it looks perfect.
Yep.
Whereas this, it's about being a Viking, and the Viking things that you do, like that, you just kind of like glitch yourself over your boat when you're trying to jump out, and it's not like a smooth animation. They should have just took more time to like do that.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
It's,
what I see. Hmm.
it's all fun and games. So you clip through the ground and it auto save, and you try to load your stuff up, and it's gonna say, "Whoa, failed," and delete the data.
Oh my god. Watch Dogs, you can't. They don't even have a different animations for getting out the car. So if you go in full speed and you get out the
Yeah, I
car,
seen that. You
you
just get out.
just get out. You don't roll out. You don't dive out. You just get out like you said this still.
Yeah.
Man, that game funny too. Watch the dude. I'm trying to tell you, you be nasty to be going sick.
Them y'all boys, man. I stopped messing with them back when they dropped Unity. I think that's the last time I really banged with them. I ain't
Man,
messed with them
you
since.
play Rainbow Six.
And For Honor.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I did play them.
Yeah.
For Honor was a different type of game though, so I gave that a pass. And I got Rainbow Six because y'all kept talking about
It
like
was
getting this.
fun, but the youth it was. I like Rainbow Six.
It was sweats.
It was
We
sweats
was
in there
trying.
though. It was sweats
Man,
in there.
them cats was in that garage or what they was doing there, sitting in them bushes
Sitting in
that
the
was able to
bushes,
shoot in the garage.
shooting holes through the garage, going crazy. Yeah, man. But yeah. Well, Assassin's Creed is definitely glitch city, but um,
What you think of it? I guess the game overall, you feel like you gonna put
put some
time in it?
time in it. It really
Yeah.
depends. Really, I want to beat Watch Dogs, and that's probably my go to when it comes to open worlds right now. I'd rather go back into Watch Dogs right now. But if during the time frame of now until Cyberpunk come out, if I can beat Watch Dogs and I have some other time on my hands, I've been playing a lot of Cold War because I just enjoy the 4K 120. But I'm trying to beat Spider Man. I'm trying to beat Demon Souls. So there's a lot of stuff in rotation. And Assassin's Creed, because of all the glitches right now, that it's like it's falling to the wayside because simply I would want to play it without any glitches occurring. And I feel like they're going to patch it at some point where they're going to fix a lot of that stuff. And at that point, maybe if I give it another week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, as they work on it, at that point, I will go in and have a better experience than most because they did polish all the stuff out. Like in Watch Dogs, people can't even get past certain things because they had a glitch with the save. So I don't know. It's just really letting them work out the kinks. People have reviewed it. People have been fine with it. But me, I have Final Fantasy VII Remake. I have Spider-Man, Demon Souls. I have so many other games that I'm playing right now in rotation that I'm literally playing daily. That's just like Valhalla is just on the back burner right now for me. But I do enjoy I enjoy the banter, and I enjoy the cutscenes a lot more. They feel more interactive. They feel more, you know, they feel more directed than the last one. They just felt like you just plopped into a place and you just moved your head in Odyssey. This one feel like they're more directed. They feel like they have more gestures. They have more animations in the scenes. It feels like they have definitely stolen God of War's viewing angles at some points. So it just feels like they did a little bit more work on storytelling, which is really what I'm going to try to gravitate towards, and hopefully the story is good. So as long as they do that, it's gonna keep my attention. I'm not going to sell it right now, essentially.
Mm-hmm. Which character did you pick?
I picked the male.
I picked the automatic option. Just I was curious to see what it is. I've read up a little about it, and they say there's a reason that it would be automatic. But if you pick that, you start with the girl, and certain points in the story, it will switch you to the guy. And I guess they have a reason why they want to do that. But of course, you can just switch it at any time in the settings. You can switch to whoever you want.
Yeah, I haven't I didn't know about that, but I knew that I just felt like the male would be more, I wouldn't say fitting. I just felt like his voice sounded better. That's all.
No, it's the opposite from Odyssey, where the girl
Yeah,
was
the
a better.
girl Cassandra, I played with Cassandra on the Odyssey, but I felt like the voices on the male sounded better to me this time around.
Yeah, and in this game, the guy, I guess he's in some TV show. He might even be in like a Viking
Yeah,
TV
he
show.
is. I think
But
I forget the name of the show. I think it's called Vikings, to be honest, but I'm not sure.
yeah, so from what I played of him, yeah, he sounds good. He sounds more professional than the
hmm
girl. So I'll just leave it on automatic, but I might just stick with one if I prefer the other one.
Oh yeah, but I definitely prefer Cassandra in the other one. It was
Hmm.
definitely a much better experience when I was like, man, cut this dude off. He was trash. I was like, why does he sound like that? and voice
Yeah.
acting usually doesn't really. Well, it does bother me. It's funny because Karina was watching me play Spider Man. She was like, he sound. I was like, he's like, boy, that man look a whole 26, sound like a 14-year old. I was like, yeah, he do sound like a little baby, don't he? But he posed to be 16. So it'd be funny when people resonate with a voice. Um, yeah, she was talking about they should have got Chicago more for it. I was like, well, I was like, I suppose. Um, but yeah, I'm gonna beat it. I just have to get around to it at least. Once I get done with all this other stuff and finding time to play all these other games. Which have pushed Neo 2 to the back, which I never wanted to play anyway. So whatever, fine.
You just wait till next year because they ain't they doing 120?
Neo, I don't know.
Yeah, Neo 2. They
Uh,
announced that this week that I don't know if it's gonna be the same game or if they selling a different version,
oh
but
my
Neo
goodness.
2 and Neo 1 are gonna be updated to 120.
Oh, that's nice. Okay, I ain't never played no game like that at 120. So we'll see. Um, but yeah, that's pretty much it. We got to cut it here. But yeah, a lot of stuff to talk about. We got more stuff to talk about later. Definitely, we want to talk about Destiny 2 next time, guys. So if you want to hear about our Destiny 2 experience, definitely check in next time. Again, this is the House of Wolves podcast. We come on every 2 weeks. Monday uploaded. So you should see this on Monday the 16th. We're recording it on the 15th. I'm going to be putting them again on my YouTube channel, and you can find it on Spotify, Apple Music, and Apple Podcasts, and things like that. Anything y'all want to say before we go?
No. I mean, don't go crazy trying to find a PS5. It ain't worth it right now.
Exactly.
Yeah, just make sure y'all safe out here since these COVID numbers going up. So don't get COVID trying to get a PS5. That's not worth it.
Yeah, yeah. Imagine dying before you can even try it. Trash. But all right, y'all. It's been real. Talk to you in the next one. Peace.